Okay, so here we are with Brownie. Meet Brownie. Brownie, say hi. Say hi to Brownie. Okay. So, ow, I like it. Brownie slapped in the face. I thought that we were good with one another. I thought you loved me. Okay, so, do you struggle with codependency? More than likely you do, if you have ever had an emotionally distant mother. Okay? Hear me out. Okay, so we all know Punch the monkey, right? The monkey that was born and his mother rejected him, and he carried around a little stuffed monkey, and he did not give up on trying to, like, he got bullied by friends, and he got rejected by groups of people, and he just kept trying, and he kept trying, and he kept trying. He had a stuffed monkey that he would carry around with him all the time. No matter what, it was with him. That was his comfort, okay? He would cuddle with it, he would drag it everywhere, all of that stuff. Eventually, he got to the point of where he found a new surrogate mother that would, in turn, take care of him. And then eventually he made new friends that accepted him. So the whole point in all of this is that even now, because of that whole situation, many zoos are now taking that exact same concept and transferring it over to other animals. They're trying with different kinds of animals, the whole stuffed animal kind of thing. So the point that I'm making with this is that I had an emotionally absent mother. I had a mother that rejected me early on in childhood. Because of my mother's rejection and all of that, I in turn struggled with being bullied, with getting in really bad relationships, all of the above. It was one of those things that I would jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, searching for some kind of connection that I could not find in another relationship because I had to find it within myself first. First and foremost, how do you do that? How do you do that? Seriously, how do you actually heal codependency? Because I, at one point, was very attached to men and to the relationships that I saw as healthy, but they were not healthy. And so I was insecure attachment. I was anxious avoidant attachment, or there's so many other terms that they call it and everything like that. But because of my attachment style and because of the fact that I was raised a certain way, I was very insecure and I was very codependent. It was one of those things that I would be very attached to a guy. Like, it was like I had to know that he cared about me and that he loved me and that he wasn't going anywhere, that he wasn't going to leave me. You know, that whole fear of abandonment kind of thing. All of that I struggled with until Brownie here. See, Brownie is my boyfriend. Just kidding. Not my boyfriend. But Brownie here is a stuffed animal. No shit, Sherlock. But I get it. He's a stuffed animal that belonged to my kids. Back whenever I was married, my ex-husband and I went and picked him up. I think we got him at Costco, but I'm not 100% sure where he came from. But you can always find these big, huge, oversized stuffed animals at Costco or online. I mean, depends on where you want to go find them. But the point is that the kids had him for a long time, and in the divorce, he came with me and stayed and lived at the apartment, the condo that I was living at. Now, during this time, this was way before Punch the monkey, okay? This was something that I kind of inadvertently stumbled upon, in all reality, was the fact that because of the fact that I still had a very insecure attachment style, I was dating all of the wrong guys. And at one point, I had reached my limit in dating. I dated someone, and he turned out to be awful again, and I could not keep dating at this point. It was one of those things that I was done. I was so done, and I was living on my own, and I was trying to get my kids back, and I had to prove to the DCFS that I could get my kids back. I couldn't have anybody living with me because of the fact that I was living in the condo. Later on, you learn that this is the same condo that I was living in, where I was abused as a child, and where I had a huge mental breakdown, and I had to pull myself out of that mental breakdown. So what happened was the fact that I could not date anymore. I couldn't have anybody there because my uncle was that kind of person that he was keeping track of where I was. And long story short, there were cameras in the apartment complex that were watching me at all times. I know that's just how it is, and that's how my family was, that they had always had cameras hidden to keep tabs. It's a control thing. Especially if you are the whistleblower of all the family secrets, they kind of want to be in control of watching over and making sure that that person doesn't make it out alive. Just saying. But nobody could live with me, and I only had my kids every other weekend. So understand that I was alone. And it was absolutely terrifying because I had walked away from every single friend that I had ever had, because of the fact that I realized that none of these friends were actually friends. There was nobody that I kept in touch with because they were all just, there were varying different degrees of like how we were not going to be friends, how we were not going to stay consistently friends. But all I had, really and truly, was Brownie here. That's it. That's all I had. So, why I bring this up is because of the fact that when I had my mental breakdown, when all of the trauma flashbacks came flooding in, my body automatically went into a fear state. I felt so many different emotions that I can't actually pinpoint all of them, but it was just an overwhelming flood of fear and anger and pain and suffering and all of this stuff. Every single thing came all at once, and I could not sleep in the bedroom. I knew that I couldn't sleep in the bedroom. I couldn't remember why I couldn't sleep in the bedroom at that point in time, but I knew I couldn't sleep in there. It was not safe. My body would not physically let me go and sleep in that bed because I was so terrified of that bed. It wasn't until later, as I slowly pulled myself out of the whole trauma flashbacks and all of that stuff, it wasn't until later that the memories started to become more clear, and I could actually start piecing them and pulling them apart and, connecting them and all of that stuff. And so it was because of the fact that I remember that bed, that mattress, the one that my uncle gave me, the one that my uncle prides himself in not keeping things that don't matter, the uncle that won't ever be a hoarder, but kept a couch and a mattress and specific furniture for a reason, was because they were, serial killers keep, reminders, mementos of what they've done. Same concept. I realized that bed was the bed that I was abused on, and that room was the exact room that I was abused in. And so the memories eventually came back, but I could not sleep in there. But I also could not tell anybody, and I couldn't explain what was going on for a very long time because of the fact that it was all just at once. And so what happened was many of my nights were slept on the couch with Brownie. Brownie would be on the couch and I would crawl up on, and it sounds so bad when I look back at it now. I'm so proud of myself for how far I've come. But I would crawl up on top of Brownie and I would just lay on top of him and I would sob myself to sleep. So many of my nights were spent crying into this stuffed animal because of the fact that I had no one to hold me. When you are a survivor of child abuse, all you want is to be held and told that everything is going to be okay. To genuinely feel like it's going to be okay. But the problem with that is that because we are people that have patterns and we attract the same kind of people into our lives because that's the programming that sits in our subconscious that eventually sends out that signal to the universe, and then the universe sends it back, we still continue to bring those people into our lives. So what will happen is that you will get in relationships and you will get into friendships and whatever else with people that are not healthy, that are not good for you, that are continuously repeating the pattern. And so it's one of those things that, like, I spent so much of my time crying and curled up into the stuffed animal. Realize that was so therapeutic to me because when you are someone that had an emotionally unavailable mother, you did not get that comfort as an infant. You did not get held as an infant. You did not get loved as an infant like you should have. And I myself repeated the exact same pattern to my own children. I am not perfect. I will not sit here and say that I am perfect, but I am definitely trying to make up for those problems that I created. So I was emotionally distant to my own children because I learned that as my mother taught me that. I was afraid to get close to my own children because I did not want to abuse them or hurt them. But at the same time, I was also repeating a pattern that was taught to me as a child because that's what I saw and that's what I knew. So, again, I'm still trying to fix my mistakes and still trying to repair the damage that I created with my own children. So, this is why if you ever had an emotionally distant parent, this is why you seek out relationships so quickly, that you jump from relationship to relationship. Even if they don't fulfill you, you feel the need to have someone, anybody, that you can try and feel close to. On top of the fact that if you, and this is, like, I am not a psychologist, so please do not come after me saying, oh, well, I admit that I can be wrong about things. I admit that I, don't know everything, and that's okay. I'm forever the teacher and the student, so I'm still learning things. So I may have to come back and correct some things. So if there are things that I need to correct, please tell me. I would love to know. But things that I've learned and I can share is that also people that have had emotionally distant families and not received like that love and stuff like that are people that usually prefer warm showers, hot showers, like really hot showers, because it's that warmth that they're looking for. Like they're wanting that physical warmth that they want to feel. So these are things that I kind of learned over time about myself, and so I had to eventually, break that pattern. So many times have I even come in here, and this is why I have him still in here, because he's still, like, there were times whenever I was sick. I have some in my other videos and other pictures that I was sick, and I would put him in my bed with me, and I would curl up with him because I needed that, just that touch, that physical connection with someone, because that's something that I always wanted as a child. Whenever I was sick, is I just wanted to be held. I just wanted someone to hold me and to tell me that everything was going to be okay, and that, I was going to get better, that, just even that kind of closeness, just that touch. And so, and not the distorted kind of touch, that there's a difference, especially whenever you're in relationships with toxic people. It's not the same. It's not the same. The touch is not the same. But again, I would have him curled up in my bed with me, and I would sleep with him. It's that, why do you think we feel so close to stuffed animals as children, especially if growing up you did not have an emotionally present mother, especially during that time? And then even now, like, he's over here, I have this ottoman in my room, and there are times whenever I will curl up in here on him, and I will just fall asleep on this ottoman with him and just take a nap. On some days whenever I feel like I need some form of connection, I'm not going to go and I'm not going to, like, ask my kids to fulfill that need, because that's not their job. It is not their role. And so therefore I in turn will get that satisfaction, that change in codependency. I will get that fix by coming in and just curling up with this big ass stuffed animal, Brownie, the moose. So I bring this up because I know that through the transition of having to change and to heal, codependency and relationships are such a big deal. And if you want to become successful, if you want to be a better person, if you want to have better connections with people, if you want a better connection with money, if you want all of these things, if you want better health, all of these things, if you want them, you have to change a lot of things. You got to change your connection. You got to become a stable and secure connection kind of person, where you're not going to worry if money's leaving. You're not going to worry if someone pulls away. If that person pulls away, let them pull away. Let them go. If that person wants to go, let them go. It doesn't matter, because you are grounded. You are rooted in yourself. You are secure with who you are and what you bring to the table, and that none of that is going to change, whether that person leaves or whether you kick that person out. No matter what, you're going to stay the same. And that's part of, like, the play that I had in becoming a secure person. So have I fallen back into insecure moments? Of course. It's a back and forth kind of thing. You're going to have moments where you oscillate back and forth. That's what vibration is. Vibration is whenever it goes back and forth, you're vibrating at a certain frequency. Just like the different states of matter that we learn back in, elementary science and, other sciences, solid, liquid, gas. They're vibrating at different frequencies, and therefore they are all differently affected by gravity, and they all form a different kind of, physical state. So just like, you're going to vibrate back and forth until you reach the right level. Same thing with everything. Everything is a vibration. Everything is a frequency. It's all interconnected. Everything is interconnected. I geek out on all of this. It's so amazing to me. But yes, that I wanted to share because I feel like this kind of knowledge, for those of you out there that want to break the pattern of being codependent and feeling like you need to have somebody, here's a tool that you can use. There are going to be a million tools that I share. There are going to be a lot of things that I give out because I want people to become successful. I want to share what has helped me, and I want to give it out to people so that they in turn can use it, because that's how knowledge should be. That's how it should be. That's why, Jesus was the way that he was, because of the fact that he was giving out this information. Granted, people were struggling to understand it back then. Now it's a little bit easier to understand, but at the same time, sometimes you have to give out this knowledge so that other people can be successful, because that's the part of abundance that people don't understand, is that if I have a lack mindset and I hold on to all of this and I covet it and I'm like, no, you can't have this, only I can have it, then I'm just being competitive and I'm being closed-minded. I want to share the wealth. This is wealth to me. This is success to me. Because if you have this in your pocket and you use it and you actually apply it, it can help you better your life. So, I wish you all the best of luck. Go out and get yourself a big, huge stuffed animal, like Brownie here. I mean, bear, moose, doesn't matter what you get, as long as it helps you with healing. That's all that matters. Okay? Love you. Bye. Maybe if it'll click.